UCI. US Cycling and UCI are making a mockery of women by allowing male-bodied competitors to compete at an elite level against top female athletes in the world. They're allowing top female cyclists on their courses to be sidelined. We lose opportunities and spots, awards, and dignity. The American people know it's gone on far too long, and with your support and your voice, and the advocacy and the impact of women and men that will speak before you today, this will change. We will win. Because if we don't, our great country will not only erase women and girls, but it will destroy our progress, our international leadership, respect, and power. So, my name is Adriana McLam, and I not only have the honor and privilege to work for Independent Women's Forum, who for 31 years has been standing up for women's rights, freedom, single-sex spaces, not only for sports, but sororities, locker and dorm rooms, prisons, domestic violence, and other shelters. Independent Women's Forum advances solutions that don't just sound good, but actually advance opportunities, choices, and well-being of all females. I'm also a proud former Division I volleyball player, I know I'm short, and now coach aspiring collegiate athletes who want to play at the next level. And I cannot think of a more important, urgent issue facing our women and girls today. The athletic governing bodies and public servants are pushing an agenda to be inclusive on the backs of women, allowing biological men in women's single-sex spaces, undermines, discriminates, and sends a message to women that they do not matter, but we know they do matter. The explosion of doesn't matter. Since Title IX, we've seen a 619% increase in the number of women playing college sports. 999% in that number is high school female athletes participating. Just let those numbers sink in. That's 619 and 999% increases since the introduction of Title IX. If the assault on women's sports continues, those numbers will go back down significantly, and they may reach numbers in our countries that we haven't seen for over 50 years. This is why Independent Women's Forum and our grassroots and community Independent Women's Network exists, to lead the charge to protect equal opportunities for women. IWF, by working with allies to advance fairness in women's sports bills in state legislatures and in Congress by securing media coverage of stories like female athletes, like those who are going to be speaking today. If you didn't know, we are wrapping up Women's Sports Week. Just a few days ago, several of our athletes that are here today partnered with Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa and Representative Claudia Tenn of New York to introduce the resolution designating the week of June 23rd as annual Women's Sports Week every year moving forward. Woo! Women's Sports Week recognizes the achievements of female athletes like Chloe Diger and Veronica Ewers, past, present, and future female athletes for their athletic achievements and participation in sport. To cap off Women's Sports Week, we have a stellar group of female athletes, coaches, public figures, and advocates here with us today sharing their stories. First up is the wonderful Inga Thompson, who partnered with us to organize this great event and mobilize meetups happening throughout the week. She is a 10-time U.S. National Champion, 3-time Olympian, 2-time Olympian winner in the World Tour de France, as well as the founder of the Inga Thompson Foundation. I have the great pleasure to bring to the stage Inga Thompson.
Inga is so wonderful. I just love her.
So, I did this really silly thing. In a bit of frustration, about 3 weeks ago, I called for a protest. So angry after 5 years of trying to work with UCI and USA Cycling, trying to enact a change with the International Olympic Committee that out of sheer frustration, I'm like, let's protest! Did a tweet, 30 seconds later, I'm like, what have I done? I have never put on a protest, and I deeply want to thank the Independent Women's Forum and the Independent Women's Network for allowing this to happen, just by heartfelt thank you to see this come together. And I started this journey because I'm one of those girls that wouldn't have been here had it not been for Title spent my childhood hearing women can't. There are no women's sports. There are no women's events. And I wanted to be a boy because of that. I didn't want to be a boy. I wanted the opportunities that boys and men had. Before that, I was a horse for about 3 years. And then after that, I wanted to be an astronaut. But here I am, a cyclist. And I'm here because of Title IX. And this is just such a beautiful experience to be here next to the Pat Summitt Clinic, or the Pat Summitt Plaza, and have all of these wonderful people come together in support of having equality for women. We have fought too hard to have the National Olympic Committee, the National Cycling, not one, and the UCI. I came back and said, we're not going to listen to a survey, because a survey is based on these their emotions. Hold on, we have gender dysphoria based on their emotions. Women. So the men can have their feelings to compete with the women, but the women can't do a survey based on their emotions. And so then we put forward 24 scientific peer-reviewed studies to show that it's not fair. And then we were called transphobic. And then we were trying to influence these young girls with science. And we are transphobic and bigots because we put forth science. So you can see the catch-22 that we are in. No matter what we do, they will block every step of the way. We've been told that we didn't put forth our presentation the proper method. We got ignored. Well, you have to do this here. Well, you have to put it through the CPN, which is the Cycling Professional Association for Men. That we couldn't do this as women put it forth. We had to go through the men. And it's like, what year are we in? I can't take a step forward without the men's approval. And so hence, here we are to protest. If we get people, everybody to speak up at once, maybe we can end this madness. Because when we go in there individually, we get kicked off the board of directors. I can't tell you how many films I've been kicked out of, how many, I could go on and on. It's actually becoming a really cool sport shoot, how many things I've been kicked off of, silent shame. But thank you. We need everybody to speak up for this, and this is how we will change and protect women's sports.
Just love Inga, love her. She's wonderful, heartfelt.
And here we have lovely Barbara Earhart. And I met her when she was at a Senate meeting, and she had so many people harassing her, and she was sitting up there all by herself. What was this, about 5 years ago? 2000. And I was a little, 2020, and I was a little bit scared, so I went up and I sat next to her. So it was just the two of us. And now look at us.
Hey, thank you. You guys, yeah, give it up for Inga. So, before I get a little more introduction as to who I am, I see kids, young ones in the back. You guys, bring the kids up here. Bring those girls up here. Get them up here.
Get the kids up here. Get the kids up here. Amy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is why we're doing it. You guys, are you excited? Get in the picture. Here, you can be in the picture too. All right. Any other girls? This is a big reason why we're doing this. It's our future. Yeah. You guys go sit down right in the front so we can see you. Right up here. Go sit down. Right Knoxville males from taking our spots. I have testified in about 30 states, where we now have 21 states that have passed this similar legislation, with North Carolina about to do the same thing. That is progress. And what's been interesting, let me tell you another thing that's been interesting. What Inga talked about was true. When I first brought it to the House, 4 people, that's all, 4 people testified on behalf of my legislation. 2 days full of hearings on the other side, constantly, one after the other. Then we brought it to the Senate. We had a few more, and this gal Inga shows up. It was quite a wild ride. It erupted into chaos and whatever, but she showed up to support me. So grateful. But people keep saying, where are the women speaking up? And I said, hey, courage begets courage. Women are speaking. Riley, are you speaking up? Woo! Peggy, Peggy McNabb in the house. Peggy, are you speaking up? Woo! Yeah. Taylor Sullivan, where are you, Taylor? Taylor. Yeah. Are you speaking up? Yeah. Inga, are you speaking up? Of course. That's just a few of the women, and they are speaking up. I know I only have so much time, I forgot to time myself, but at least you're being entertained. Let me tell you this. As I brought this forward, and as I testified, the other side continually says, but we've got to let them in because it's about community. It's about inclusion. It's about humanity. Yes. Yes. You know what? Those are subsections down the line. But when it comes to sports, it's about competition and it's about winning. Yeah, if it wasn't about competition and winning, then players wouldn't be cut and coaches wouldn't be fired. Don't tell me to consider humanity, inclusion, and all the other stuff. It's about winning. It's about opportunities for you guys, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I appreciate this. Give me an audience and I'll give you a talk and I'll keep going on. I gotta stop. I get the privilege now of introducing one of your state representatives, and his name is Jason Zachary. He was instrumental in helping to bring forward their version of fairness in women's sports, first K-12, then at higher ed, and he's done a heck of a lot of other things. But I'll tell you what, we need the guys on our side supporting us. So,
We need the guys.
Is that not the perfect combination? A former coach and an elected official? My goodness, I feel like we just got like a Pat Summitt locker room speech. But listen, hey, I think it is. They told me I had 4 minutes, which is really tough for a politician to prepare like 45 minutes to tell your funny joke and then your 4 minutes are over. So, hey, but really, I think it is so fitting that we're having this in the shadow of the Pat Summitt Plaza and the Pat Summitt statue. I really wish that was right behind us, because think about it. She was a pioneer in terms of her playing days. She took over here at the University of Tennessee in 1974 and coached till 2012. One of the most successful coaches in NCAA history, but more importantly, she was a pioneer for women's sports. She created opportunities and boldly paved the way for the opportunities that Riley and so many hundreds of thousands of women athletes have, and it's because of Pat Summitt. And she is literally the model. Think about it. She was bold, unashamed. She was persistent, but she did it in a way, like you think about Gino Ariano. Nobody likes Gino. Nobody likes the coach of UConn. Everybody loved Pat Summitt because she did it the right way. But it was this bold intensity and passion that we have to have right now to protect the integrity of women's sports. So listen, I've got a proclamation here, and I want to let you know what Tennessee has done. So I have a proclamation here that was signed by the Speaker of the House, declaring Tennessee a sanctuary for the integrity of women's sports. And listen, it is important that you know this fight is far from over, but we are winning in Tennessee. So So these are the things we've done. Most people, I've already had some of you come up and ask me, when are we going to take these steps in Tennessee? So we have already banned boys from participating in girls' high school sports, boys from participating in college sports. We have gone so far as to take the steps to protect our ladies' locker rooms and restrooms. Boys can't enter those. We have taken those steps in Tennessee. So listen, while Washington may be completely out of control, while the Biden administration is going after Title IX, ladies, to take your opportunities, we in Tennessee are doing all we can to protect the integrity of women's sports. Your vote, your engagement matters. I know I'm talking to a bunch of Tennesseans, actually talking to some lady who drove up from Atlanta to be here for part of this. But listen, don't you for a second think it doesn't matter your engagement in local and state elections. It does matter. You look around the country in all these states, from California, New York to Illinois, all these states that have lost their minds. My pastor used to say, common sense has become so far and foreign, people are so open-minded, their brains are falling out. And that's what we're seeing in many states, but not here in Tennessee. And it's like that because of your engagement. We're going to continue to stand up. We're going to boldly stand for women's sports. The integrity of women's sports, as I told people earlier, we're going to continue to stand for common sense for these things. The world has lost its mind, but not here in Tennessee. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your support and your engagement.
Well, thank you so much. But I will say, the next person, I feel like her name has already been brought up, so she needs no introduction. But I want to note that she is someone that independent women's sport we highly respect and admire. She has become a team captain and been part of our team for the past year. She started speaking up, as you guys probably have heard, last year when she competed in the NCAA championships and tied against Inga Thomas in the 200-meter free. She is a 12-time All-American, an SEC champion, and one of the fastest swimmers in the country. Give it up for Riley Gaines. This past year is the quickest way to make God laugh in your face is to make plans for yourself. I graduated from University of Kentucky. Sorry, golf fans. I know there's a lot of you here. I graduated from University of Kentucky with my degree in human health sciences and health law. I intended upon graduation going into dental school, pursue endodontics, which is root canals. That's always what I thought I was going to do. But after facing what I faced, seeing what I saw, feeling what we felt, I knew what a disservice it would be if I continued down that path. Not a disservice to myself, but a disservice to the past female athletes who fought relentlessly for Title IX. A disservice to the female athletes in my exact same position who are silenced effectively by their universities. And of course, this next generation of female athletes. I met so many of you, so many swimmers, which is really cool. And that's what fuels me. That's what sparks me and keeps me going and fighting for this. I proudly finished my career as a 12-time All-American, a 5-time SEC champion, actually the SEC record holder in the Turner Butterfly, which I broke right here in this pool over here. Olympic trial qualifier, SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year, SEC Community Service Leader of the Year. But all of that to say that it's a lifelong journey to compete at that level and be successful at that level. And I look at these young girls, and it takes me back to when I was their age. When we were 8, 10, 12 years old, you're swimming 2 hours a day. You get to high school, college, you're practicing 3 hours in the morning, 5 to 8 a.m. You go to class, you come back, you practice from 1:30 to 4:30. You go home, you eat your dinner, you do your homework, you ice your shoulder, you go to bed. You do it all again the next day. It's impossible to put into words the amount of time and the sacrifices and the dedication that it takes. I'll briefly tell the story of what happened, and I want to echo everything they said, but I'm the living proof of why this matters. My NCAA championships my senior year, we were forced to, you guys know, compete against Leah Thomas, male from University of Pennsylvania, who competed 3 years on the men's team, ranking the year prior 462nd at best among the men, to now trailing the women, winning a national title in the 500 freestyle, That next day we come back in the 200 freestyle. Thomas and I raced, and almost impossibly enough, we tied. We went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second, which is pretty rare when you're racing for all of 1 minute and 40 seconds and you go the exact same time down to the 100th. But we did, and we get out of the water and we go behind the awards podium where the NCAA official looks at both Thomas and myself and says, "Great job, but you guys tied. And we only have one trophy, and we're gonna give this trophy to Leah." And so I was taken aback by this, and I asked, okay, why? Which was the first time anyone had questioned anything the NCAA had done. And to which I kind of appreciate their honesty. He responded back with, "Oh, well, we have to give it to Leah because it's been made clear Leah has to have it for pictures. You can pose with this trophy, but you have to give yours back. You go home empty-handed, Leah takes the trophy home, end of story." And that is when, up until this point, of course, I knew the unfair competition was wrong. I knew the locker room was wrong, which I want to really briefly touch on in a minute. But when they reduced everything we had worked our entire lives for down to a photo op to validate the feelings and the identity of a male at the expense of our own, that's when I was done. And it's so unfortunate that it took me being directly impacted to say enough is enough. But it did. It took me being slapped across the face with it to stand firm. But that's why I'm here and that's why I'm fighting for it, because it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take girls being injured in their sport like Peyton. It shouldn't take girls being exploited in a locker room. It shouldn't take girls having to be asked to smile and step aside and allow these men onto our podiums before we realize this is a problem. The locker room, because that is a big piece of it. It's not just the fairness in women's sports. It's a lot bigger than that. What we faced in that locker room, first of all, we weren't forewarned we would be sharing this changing space. No one told us. The only way we became aware we would be undressing next to a 6'4", 22-year-old man who was fully intact with and exposing male parts was when we were undressing next to a 6'4", 22-year-old man who was fully intact with and exposing male parts. It feels like betrayal, it's belittlement, of course it's awkward, it's embarrassing, it's uncomfortable, but really the best word to describe this experience is traumatic. Not just because of the arrangement in the locker room, but it's traumatic in the way that it was so easy for the officials, for the people leading this country, to throw our rights to privacy and our rights to safety and our rights to equal opportunity out of the window. It was so easy, and when we question this, we're called the names, we're called bigots, we're called hateful, the list goes on of things, but guess what? It does not make you transphobic to believe there are two sexes. It is not. Biology is not bigotry. And ultimately, these policies that claim to promote inclusion are actually exclusive. They're exclusive to the very female athletes who Title IX was created to protect. I am just one example. Those other female swimmers at that meet were just one example. There's the UT swimmers right here. There's a UT soccer player, UT football players, the tall guys in the back. Which is really, really awesome. We need more young people like them. We need more women. We need the men. Where are the men? We need masculine men. I could go on and on really listing examples, listing why this is a problem. Paula, her name is Paula Scanlon. She was one of Leah Thomas's teammates. The story she has of how they endured this all year, the silencing that they dealt with, is chilling. I think that's the best way to put it. Her flight got delayed, unfortunately, so she can't make it, but she asked me to read a statement, and so I'm just going to read a very brief statement of hers. And she says, "Today we demonstrate that we are no longer silenced. Over the past decade, we have seen free speech systematically dismantled by radical groups. These groups have forced down policies that harm women and children. Our fight is not a fringe political issue, as many casually dismiss us. We will not yield and will continue to protect opportunities for all Americans through fair competition and true merit." I wish she could be here, but this is a phenomenal turnout. In the rain, I mean, clearly my hair is like, I look like a lion. But seriously, thank you guys. It means a lot, and we're gonna do this. Enough is enough. Time to say it.
Such a good job. Just love Riley.
Can we get another round for Riley? Yay! I will say a lot of us here today would not be here without people like her, Paula, and as well as the other athletes who have bravely spoken up and continue to use their voice. We are so sad that Paula isn't able to make it, but it doesn't take a degree in biology, as Paula has, to know that there's only two genders, male and female, and that there's a difference between male and female bodies. And that's the reason for Title IX and separate divisions. Now, I have the great honor of introducing someone who knows this very well as a former WWE wrestler known as Tenn, and the current mayor of the great city of Knoxville, Inga. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank to all of you for being here today. This is not a fringe issue. This is a very important issue, actually. I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm a girl dad. I have two daughters, my only kids, and my stepdaughters actually, but they're mine. They are awesome, and I'm continually amazed by them and everything they do. They're both grown. Both of them are nurses with advanced degrees, despite everything that I tried to push them into. They just weren't, they weren't athletes, they weren't really interested in sports. But they excel at everything that they put their mind to. Through hard work and determination, they got something they learned from their mom because she's the same way. And it continually amazes me what they can do when they put their mind to it. All I've ever wanted for them was fair ground rules. Because I know when they got that, they can do anything that they want to do. Right? Part of the reason we're so fond of Pat Summitt here in East Tennessee is because she spent a career fighting for that in women's sports and for women in sports. And as Riley said, now it's very strange to me because inclusivity is this word that we put so much weight on, but we have reached a point where women are being excluded from women's sports, which is extraordinarily, that's very strange to me. Nevertheless, this is about more than sports. This is about standing on principle. We live in a world where truth is subjective. It's arbitrary. In many cases, it depends on the latest proclamation from some social media influencer is what the truth is. And finding people and discovering people and encountering people who have the courage to stand up for their principles, it's very rare. I'm a kid at heart. So in my office, I have a plaque for my favorite superhero, Captain America. It's a quote. And it says, doesn't matter what the press and the mob and the politicians say, it doesn't matter if the whole country decides something that's wrong is something right. This nation is founded on one principle above all else, that you stand up for what you believe in, no matter the odds or the consequences. And when everyone and the whole world is telling you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. That's what these women and these phenomenal athletes are doing, and it is very rare. You know, people think, oh, he's wrestling, he's a tough guy. Maybe. They're the actual tough people because they're standing up for what they believe in. So thank you all so much for planting yourself like a tree by a river of truth. Thank you all.
The men are coming. We like them when the men come, and they're gonna help us.
You know what? That seriously rocks. We don't have a ton of non-state representatives The next person I want to introduce, make sure I get her credentials right. First, let me just say this. She's testified with me in quite a number of states. She's got quite a story. To me, she's incredibly impressive. That is that she was a, whoa, sorry, Evie. Let me just find out where your stuff went. So she's a former NCAA athlete who's continued to compete and medaled in world, national, and regional cycling events. She's a mom. She's teaching her daughter to be strong. Please welcome Evie Edwards.
Yay, Evie Edwards. We love Evie from Wheeling.
Hey y'all, my name is Abby Edwards. Abby like Chevy. I actually have a speech prepared, so y'all have to bear with me. I like to get things specific on this argument. I'm a wife, a mother, and it's a rare thing that I'm a registered Democrat, at least in this debate. Don't hold it against me because this is a nonpartisan issue. I'm a former NCAA cross-country athlete. I've raced over 300 USA cycling events in the last 15 years. I founded an elite women's team. I've mentored and coached female cyclists, and I'm a current Masters elite cyclist with world national medals on track, cyclocross, road, and mountain biking. In 2017, I was an athlete in Los Angeles at UCI Masters Track Worlds, where the first male was awarded a women's title and world record for 2 consecutive years. Since that moment, I've continually found ways to speak out on behalf of my fellow female cyclists, and I refuse to be silenced. UCI and USAC, that's who put on this race and have the men's race going on right now. These policies that allow male competitors to claim awards and recognition meant for female athletes, they're wrong and they need urgent reversal. Most open-minded and compassionate people agree that the inclusion of male bodies in female sport is unfair for everyone. Rather than promote the findings of 22 peer-reviewed studies that show the male-born athletic advantage can't be muted, the UCI and USA Cycling have chosen to focus on supporting inclusion policies that are unfair for females. I have 2 children. My 11-year-old daughter, she excels in soccer, taekwondo, snowboarding, and cycling. She wanted to put a snowboarding part in, but I didn't say it the last time. I have concerns of fairness and safety, and I feel dismayed at the inevitable decision that we'll have to make if she continues her athletic pursuits with trans-identified males. Just as families of female athletes all over the country are now experiencing, our decisions will be rooted in concerns for her physical safety, her self-esteem, and her mental well-being. This doesn't happen in boys' sports. It's an injustice to girls. Policies and race registrations that place male anonymity over the safety and fairness of females creates inevitable distraction and discord among athletes. You might not have known, but in a lot of these races, they hold back the male athletes who registered for them so that females don't even know who they're going to be competing against. And they say that this is for the fairness of those trans-identified athletes, but it's a different policy and it's not fair. It's a distraction for athletes, coaches, and families. Female athletes aren't even given the opportunity to choose whether or not they want to participate to avoid higher injury risk and humiliation. We know females experience puberty differently than males. Boys develop muscles and bones which are advantageous for any sport they choose to participate in. Women and girls have much higher rates of knee injury, and they experience higher rates of concussion than their male counterparts in sports. I've given birth twice, and I've overcome hormonal changes, body composition, and childcare logistics, which is tough, to return to a high level of competition. And as I age and lose the hormones I was born with, it's not as sexy as having the young, wonderful kids up here and the women, women as they age have just as much of a right to compete in sport as men, 100%. However, I won't be able to take HRT and compete legally, yet trans-identified men are allowed a custom cocktail of hormones to optimally compete in female races. It's not fair at any level or age to force females to compete with males. When women and men speak up about unfairness, they're accused of harassment and bigotry. For the better part of a year, I had to defend myself to safe sport investigators because 2 trans-identified sexual harassment for wearing this jersey. And I wore this jersey in competition. Organizations that were created to protect women and girls from being used as to protect women and girls, they're being used as social weapons to silence us. However, I've experienced overwhelming support of peers and athletes who understand that speaking out is the only way to ensure fair and meaningful competition for females. This discussion is not complicated. Bodies play sports, not identities. In addition to the Independent Women's Forum, I'd like to thank ICONS, the Independent Council on Women's Sport, and I urge you all to attend the summit in Denver, July 21st and July 23rd, where they're convening to set the future course of women's sports. We're pulling in women's organizations, scientists, and legendary female athletes from all over the world, and this has been an unbelievable group effort, and I can't thank this organization enough and all of your support. Wow. For wearing a shirt when there's bigger issues, but I digress. So our next speaker is a triathlete. She just graduated from high school in North Carolina. If you haven't heard her story, she's here to tell it. But she was injured severely during a volleyball match last fall. I will say this, the thing about Peyton McNabb, is that she shows us all that this isn't just happening here and there. We've now seen it at the national level, and this could be happening to your daughter in their high school matches. Last year also quoted Megan Rapinoe, said, "We don't care about your high school daughter's volleyball game." Well, the truth is, we do. We care about your volleyball game. Here to talk today, Peyton McNabb. Hello, I'm Peyton McNabb. I just recently graduated from Hawaii High School in Murphy, North Carolina. I'm also a spokeswoman for Independent Women's Forum, who have been very, very helpful to this whole thing. On September 1st, 2022, I was struck in the head with a volleyball during a high school volleyball game by a biological male on the opposing team. As a result of the sheer impact of the ball, I received a concussion and a neck injury. I love sports. I'm a three-sport athlete. I play softball, basketball, and volleyball, and it has just been something that has consumed my whole life, and I'm very, very thankful that I have the ability to play. I was always very aware of the possibility of injury during competitive play, but my experience on the court that day was different. The hit was so violent that I was knocked unconscious, lying in a fencing position for about 30 seconds. 10 months later, my body and mind are still recovering from the hit. I still suffer from partial paralysis on my right side, vision problems, cognitive issues, constant headaches, and more. This incident was 100% avoidable if my rights as a female athlete had not been excluded on the basis of being inclusive to allow a biological male who self-identifies as a female to compete with women. I nor my teammates ever agreed to play against a male athlete. We were forced to by our state athletic association. If the adults in the room don't start standing up and putting an end to this senseless threat to females, there won't be women's sports. Women have a right to a fair and equal opportunity on and off the playing field. Men have no place in our single-sex spaces.
Woo!
I love being an athlete, as do the other girls I play with and those ladies with me here today. And I'm standing here today to represent not just myself, but to ensure all female athletes, my little sister, my cousins, my teammates, have access to fair competition. Recently, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre
was asked what she would tell parents who are concerned over their daughter's safety if forced to play against their biological male. She suggested that the reporter was calling transgender children dangerous. I don't expect the White House to take me up for my offer, but my parents and I are around if the White House wants to listen to my story. They might learn something. Women deserve to compete on a level playing field without fear of injury. I may be one of the first to come before you with an injury, but I can assure you I will not be the last if we don't protect female athletes. Thank you.
Time out. So, you guys, I want to get this straight. Hey, see, I have visions of being like a press secretary, because I think I'd be far more entertaining. And I think I could actually answer questions, not circle back and, other things. So let me just make sure I got this straight. Corinne Jean-Pierre said that playing against biological males weren't dangerous. Do you think she ever saw the tape where you got nailed? No. No, she must not. Somebody send a message to Corinne Jean-Pierre, however you say her name, that Peyton she got the heck knocked out of her. Have you guys seen the video, seriously? Yeah. Just on a serious note, that's disgusting. It is disgusting that the White House, any administration, would in any way minimalize what just happened to somebody and instead use vague emotional words to promote an agenda that is antithetical to women and to girls and to what you went through. Seriously, thank you for standing up. Thanks for what you're doing. We appreciate you. Give her a hand. Yeah, I think I would have it. I think I could do well in front of the mic. Give me an audience. Yeah, okay. Hey, our next speaker, I want you to enjoy. I've now had a chance to hang out with her on a couple of occasions. We talk about losing opportunities, whether it's up to the podium, losing opportunities when we think about scholarships, even just high school. How would you like to be player number 12 and you get cut so the guy can be on the team? Well, our next speaker actually lost out to money. And it took her a little while to speak up. But Taylor Silverman, Taylor, where are you? Where are you, Dean? Come on up here. Taylor, I am telling you, this biological male thing is permeating all aspects of sport. Traditional basketball, volleyball, track, it's hitting cycling, and it is hitting skateboarding and all other things. I know your message isn't just about skateboarding, it's for women, but please give a warm welcome for Taylor Silverman.
Thank you, Barbara, for that introduction. My name is Taylor Silverman. I'm a skateboarder, and I've been skating for 12 years, and for the past several years, I've traveled around the country competing. And much like all the female cyclists who race here today, I've personally experienced the negative impact of males invading my sport in contests. But one thing that many of the female cyclists do not have in common with myself and the other speakers today is that they're not speaking up for themselves yet. So I'm here to urge them to do just that, and I hope that UCI and USA Cycling hears us and decides to change the rules that allow for this absolutely ridiculous injustice to occur. So growing up, I played school sports. I played basketball and softball, and I didn't actually start skateboarding until I switched to homeschool in high school, because I wasn't going to be able to play on the school sports teams anymore. But I experienced equal opportunity. And as an adult, I watched this completely disappear for female athletes. In 2018, in 2020, and in 2021, I competed in women's divisions in skateboarding where males invaded. And 2 of those times I actually was bumped out of first place into second place. And the last time I had my paycheck cut because of it. And this athlete actually got $5,000 of prize money that was intended for the women. So I know what it's like to go through this personally, and I've heard a lot of stories of parents and female athletes reaching out to me sharing similar experiences. And this number continues to grow. So I lost these tangible things, but what I want people to know is that the tangible losses pale in comparison to everything else that we're being robbed of. Respect, dignity, integrity in our sports, and for many women, safety and privacy, not only on the playing field, like how you heard from Peyton. And when I hear her story, I actually feel grateful that all I lost out on was, a first place trophy and prize money, because I didn't have to get physically injured. And privacy in places like locker rooms, like as Riley went through. I didn't have to experience that, and I don't want other girls to have to go through that if they did. And that's why I'm using my voice. So going through this 3 times, I started to realize that if you don't say anything, nothing will be done. So I decided to reach out to Red Bull and contest organizers to raise my concerns about fairness, about women losing out on opportunities, and they completely ignored me, as you can probably guess. So as I was sitting, waiting for weeks for this email that I was never going to get a response to, I started to think a lot about what this was going to mean for the next generation of girls, and how I would feel if I had to tell a daughter one day that I went through this and didn't speak up for myself when it happened, if this is something that she faced in school sports or in sports on any level, really, because this impacts all levels. So I decided to post my story on social media, and though I had been completely ignored by Red Bull, this post went viral within about 5 minutes, all over the world. Now, though I've received some online bullying and name-calling, it's mostly been support. So a lot of women are scared to speak up. They fear retaliation, they fear potentially being blacklisted from their communities or not being able to participate in the thing that they love the most. But they're far more scared of what happens when they're being silent. So I've benefited a lot from participating in sports for my whole life, from being able to continue on skateboarding as an adult, traveling, actually getting paid to skateboard. And I genuinely believe that everyone should be able to participate in sports and even do so in a competitive way. But I will not ignore the reality that there is a biological difference between men and women. And I'm not alone, as everyone here knows. This is sometimes painted as being a political issue, but the truth is it's just common sense. Males have an athletic advantage in sports. This is a fact of life. So going through this, I not only lost out on prize money and being acknowledged for what would have been a win. This was also very confusing, upsetting, mentally tormenting. I sat in silence for months wondering how to handle this and not knowing what to do moving forward. And all while I'm sitting there, upset, depressed, confused, the male athletes who felt so entitled to compete in the women's division argued that I should accept it because not doing so would hurt their feelings. A group that claims to care so much about mental health has no issue completely disregarding the detrimental consequences that female athletes face to their mental health when this happens. And I try to be nice, but I don't buy the line that this is about inclusion and mental health. You know what this is really about? That's one thing. There's a lot of things. This is about dominance. This is about the erasure of excellent women for the benefit of deranged and mediocre men. And I've had enough, and I know all of you here have had enough too. So it's time for us to use our voice. And to the female cyclists who race today, if you fear being outcasted for speaking up about this issue from your community, perhaps it is time you find a new one. And when you're ready, we'll still be here. Thank you.
Can we give it up one more time for Taylor Silverman?
Taylor! Oh, Taylor!
Amazing skateboarder and even a more amazing advocate for female athletes. Next up, we have Michelle Parker. She is the chapter leader at Independent Women's Network here in Nashville, Tennessee. Independent Women's Network is a positive, supportive community that fights on this issue as well as others, that keeps the community engaged, informed, and activates women working together to inspire, interact, influence, and have impact. And boy, have we made some noise in Knoxville this week. Let's hear it from Michelle Parker.
Go, Michelle!
First, can we give one more round of applause for all the athletes here? And for Coach Barbara. I was more of a junior varsity athlete, but for me, had it not been for Title IX, I wouldn't have had a chance to compete at all. And Title IX enabled me to find community when I moved across states when I was just in 8th grade. So I'm really grateful for Title IX as well. So I want to start by giving you all a little bit of a history lesson, because I love history. So in the early 20th century, when Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks took power in Russia, does anyone know what percentage of the population the Bolsheviks accounted for? Anyone?
5%.
Lower. Anyone else? I heard 30%. Anyone else?
12%.
A little bit higher. A little bit higher.
15%.
It was 20%. Now, did you all know that Bolshevik means majority? The regime chose this name to give the illusion that the majority of the country was on their side. But in all actuality, we know that it wasn't. And I think that to a lot of us, this whole strategy seems a little bit familiar, right? Anybody? Yeah. Today we see the same tactics employed as the radical left pushes their woke agenda. Have you noticed that they mobilize Hollywood and big tech and big media and my corporate America? And have you noticed too that they gaslight and threaten anyone who would dare to use our voice? They call us bigots and transphobic. And you want to know why they do that? Because they know that we're right. They do this because the facts and the majority are on our side.
Jennifer, if you can hear me, I lost.
I'm a woman.
Jennifer, if you can hear me, I lost picture. Ah.
This new woke regime is known for telling us to follow the science, right? Well, the science says, and we were taught in school, that men have a physiological advantage over women. And here's just a few.
Jennifer.
Males have
Jennifer.
Heart, and on average, a 12% higher rate of circulating hemoglobin than women.
Oh no. Okay. Hopefully Jennifer's going to come right back. We lost picture. I don't know what is happening. Thank you all so much for being here. I think, oh, here she comes. Okay, great.
Bone structure, which is an athletically advantage over women. Males also have, on average, 36% greater muscle mass, and they also have greater fast twitch muscles than women. And guess what? No amount of hormone replacement therapy completely negates this, regardless of what the left wants to tell us. And multiple studies have proven this. Let's hear it. So 80% of America agrees with us, and we've surveyed the cyclists, and about 95 to 99% of them agree with us too. I can't tell you the number of conversations I've had with parents, with brothers, and with even the niece of one of the champion riders, and they're being silent, so we have to speak up for them. And I'll tell you too, the 20% of the country that is against us is denying reality. It is not fair. It is not safe. It is not right. For males to compete in women's sports, right? I know it, you know it, and you better believe that they know it too. Now, as Adriana was telling you, this is our third Our Bodies, Our Sports rally. We've been to DC. We were in San Antonio outside of the NCAA convention, protecting and standing up for women collegiate athletes. And now we're in Knoxville because have you noticed that women's cycling is under threat? And we're not going to stop until this ends. We're not going to shut up as much as the misogynist males that come out after us would like us to. We're not going to let the woke minority to silence us. Pat Summitt and other Title IX advocates fought too long and too hard to win the games we have today for women and girls. So today, I implore USA Cycling and UCI Cycling to stand up for women and girls and preserve women's cycling for females exclusively. I also encourage each and every one of you to use your voice. Don't allow the woke minority to silence you. Remember what happened in Russia? The stakes are too high. While future generations of women and girls are erased, it takes courage in this day and age to tell the truth. I recognize that. But when you do, think of the story that you're going to get to tell your children, your daughters, and your granddaughters. What story do you want to tell? When they thank you for your efforts as they compete in sex-exclusive athletics. Just as today, we stand adjacent to the statue of Pat Summitt, paying homage to the fight that she won and the fight of all the Title IX advocates that came before us. So we have a clear message to send to anyone who will listen. We've got to stop discriminating against women and girls. And we won't stop fighting until sex-exclusive spaces are preserved for our daughters, our granddaughters, and for generations to come. So thank you for being here and for standing up for women and girls. You don't have to go it alone. Sign the Women's Bill of Rights at www.womensbillofrights.com. Join us in this fight. Join a local IWN chapter or other grassroots organization like Knox for Liberty and use your gifts and talents to be a force for good.
I just want to chat with you for a second. I think she's finishing up. So that was it. It's been wonderful in Knoxville. I just want to give you the down low.
Love it.
The women here have been really sweet, and because they're not the usual feminists that we come in contact with, but they welcomed me and invited me to everything. So if you want to go to one of their events, they're very welcoming and kind. So I really enjoyed my time in Knoxville, and I was really glad to do this with Amy and live stream with Amy today. So, yep, that's it. I think we're pretty much done here, though. So how you doing, Amy?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for covering this and being live on the ground so we can capture it. As you know, when we document these events, this is the record of our descent. So every time we document one of these rallies, it is a record that women are standing up. So when they ask the question, where are the women? Why aren't they speaking up? We can say, we spoke up in Tennessee. We spoke up in Washington, D.C. We spoke up in New York City. We spoke up here. So I really appreciate you being in Knoxville this weekend. And thank you so much for covering this on the ground for me.
Thank you, Amy. It's like we're writing We Were Here.
Not for me, for all of us.
For all of us. It's like we're writing We Were Here, like you did when you were a kid.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll see you guys later at the next protest. I love you, Amy. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was Jennifer Thomas. And I want to say to everyone, I just want to say to everyone, thank you for being here. And just so you know, if you have the time today, in just a bit, maybe in about 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes, Kay Yang and Isabella Malbin are going to be live in New York City. So I will also be hosting that live stream today. They are going to be in New York for New York City Pride. They are going to be protesting female erasure, lesbian erasure, and child grooming and indoctrination. So if you would like to see more live streaming of women standing up, speaking out against this ideology, you can tune into that later today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jennifer De La Sega. Thank you, Heather Scalzi, Chicana Feminista. We had Genevieve Gluck in our audience today, which is always amazing. As always, please follow her research. It is very important to keep researched and abreast. So we need to always take advantage of the women who are doing the research. They have sifted through all of the information and put it into accessible forms for us. So we need to take advantage of that when they do. Thank you. You've got Turf Mail. Thanks, Anne Louise. I just see you. Thank you, 1,000 Sisters Strong. Kay Beth was here. Susie Gluckman, thank you. Judy C, thank you as always for being one of my mods. Thank you, all of you. I'm just kind of scrolling through to see who I see. I really appreciate you all. I'm going to end this broadcast, and for those of you who are would like to, so I need to take a sip of water in a second. I am going to be doing another live roughly in about 10 minutes. So if you want to catch that, you can. If not, please follow me, subscribe. Feel free to support my channel. I have a year-long live stream subscription, so I can do these last minute whenever I want. So any support that you can give me is much appreciated. Monetary support as well as support by liking, subscribing, and sharing these videos. That is much appreciated. So that's how we get our message across. Thank you all. Bye-bye.